Welcome to the Hidden Wealth Coins. Imagine finding a tiny, forgotten penny that looks worthless, yet secretly holds the power to destroy poverty overnight. These ordinary wheat pennies hide extraordinary stories, rare mistakes, and legendary conditions that collectors fight over with millions of dollars. One careless spend could erase a fortune, one smart pause could change your destiny forever. Before you ignore old coins, understand this. History sometimes disguises wealth as pocket change for ordinary people. First up, the 1945 wheat penny is not just a small copper coin from the United States. It is a silent witness to the end of World War II and the beginning of a new global era. When this coin was struck, the world was exhausted from war, economies were rebuilding, and America was stepping into a position of enormous power. This penny carries that moment in time inside it. Millions of people used it without a second thought, buying bread, newspapers, or candy, never imagining that decades later collectors would study every tiny detail of this coin like treasure hunters decoding a map. Today, the 1945 wheat penny stands as a symbol of history, survival, and hidden value, and in certain rare conditions, it can hold wealth that feels almost unreal. What makes the 1945 wheat penny truly fascinating is that on the surface, it looks ordinary. Abraham Lincoln's calm face, the simple wheat ears on the reverse, and the familiar brown tone give no warning of what might be hiding within its metal. But coin collecting is not about what everyone sees, it is about what almost no one notices. Small differences created during minting, pressure, metal flow, alignment, and microscopic details can turn a 1-cent coin into something worth more than luxury cars, houses, or even lifelong salaries. This is why people say some coins don't just have value, they have destiny. In 1945, America was producing coins at an enormous scale, but speed often brings imperfection. Dies were reused, machines were pushed hard, and quality control was not as strict as in modern times. Because of this, some wheat pennies were born with unusual characteristics, subtle doubling in letters, strange spacing in the date, or texture differences that only experienced eyes can recognize. These tiny mistakes are not errors in the eyes of collectors, they are miracles. A single rare variation from 1945, preserved in extraordinary condition, can reach values that sound impossible to ordinary people. Condition is where the real magic begins. Most 1945 wheat pennies were heavily used. They were dropped, scratched, cleaned, and damaged over decades. Finding one that looks almost untouched, sharp details, glowing surfaces, original color, is like finding a needle in a desert. When a coin survives time without being altered, it becomes a time capsule. Collectors don't just pay for metal, they pay for preservation of the past. In the highest mint state conditions, rare examples of the 1945 wheat penny can reach prices that climb into six figures, and in exceptional cases tied to extreme rarity or unique traits, discussions move into the million-dollar territory. The idea that a coin like this could change your life overnight is not fantasy, it is possibility mixed with rarity. History has proven again and again that humble objects can explode in value when the right collector meets the right coin at the right time. Wealthy collectors are not buying pennies because they are cheap, they are buying them because they are irreplaceable. Once a rare example is locked into a private collection or museum, it may never appear on the market again. That scarcity fuels prices in ways that logic alone cannot explain. Another powerful factor behind the value of the 1945 wheat penny is emotional connection. This coin was born at the exact moment when peace returned after years of fear and destruction. Collectors feel that energy. They don't just see copper, they see victory, relief, and hope. Coins tied to important historical turning points always carry an extra layer of desire. When emotion enters collecting, prices stop following normal rules. Emotional demand creates bidding wars, and bidding wars create legends. Many people make the biggest mistake of their lives by spending or selling such coins without understanding what they truly have. A rare wheat penny sold cheaply is a tragedy repeated thousands of times. Once gone, it cannot be undone. The difference between a few dollars and a life-changing sum often comes down to patience, knowledge, and proper evaluation. Serious collectors take time. They study, verify, authenticate, and wait. Rushing is the enemy of fortune in the world of rare coins. It's important to understand that value is not only about age. Millions of old coins exist, but very few important old coins exist. The 1945 Wheat Penny crosses that line because it belongs to a historical chapter that shaped the modern world. When combined with rarity, originality, and top-level condition, it becomes something far greater than money. It becomes an asset. Assets don't depreciate like cash. They grow as demand increases and supply disappears. Some collectors describe finding a rare wheat penny as a moment that feels unreal, almost spiritual. A small object held between fingers suddenly represents freedom, security, and opportunity. This is why people search through old jars, inherited boxes, and forgotten drawers with hope in their hearts. Every collector knows that history doesn't announce itself loudly, it hides quietly, waiting for the right person to recognize it. The phrase, "Don't spend it," exists for a reason. Spending a potentially rare coin is like tearing pages from a history book before reading them. Once melted into circulation, its story is erased forever. That is why experts always advise caution. A single wrong decision can destroy unimaginable value, while a careful decision can open doors you never thought possible. In today's market, where wealth is often digital and unstable, tangible historical assets like rare coins have gained even more respect. They cannot be hacked, inflated overnight, or duplicated. A genuine rare 1945 wheat penny is one of a kind in its exact form. That uniqueness is priceless. Wealthy individuals understand this deeply, which is why competition for top examples can reach extreme levels. The idea of becoming a billionaire overnight may sound dramatic, but dramatic things do happen in the world of collectibles. While not every 1945 wheat penny is valuable, the right one can redefine what you believe about money and luck. History rewards those who recognize value before the crowd does. That is how fortunes are built, not through noise, but through quiet understanding. If you ever hold a 1945 wheat penny in your hand, don't look at it as a coin. Look at it as a question. A question asking whether you will treat it as pocket change or as a key. Many people pass by keys without knowing which doors they open. Only a few stop, look closely, and unlock a future no one else saw coming. In the end, the 1945 wheat penny teaches a powerful lesson. Greatness does not always shine. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. And sometimes it waits inside a single cent, ready to change a life forever, for the person wise enough not to let it go. Second up. The 1935 wheat penny is not just another old American coin. It is a quiet survivor from a time when the world was struggling to breathe. Born during the aftermath of the Great Depression, this tiny 1-cent piece carries the weight of hardship, resilience, and rebirth. People who held it in 1935 never imagined that one day this same coin could represent unimaginable wealth. It passed through tired hands, empty pockets, and hopeful dreams, silently absorbing the energy of an era when every cent mattered. Today, that same coin has transformed into a symbol of hidden fortune, capable, under the rarest conditions, of turning an ordinary life into something extraordinary overnight. At first glance, the 1935 wheat penny looks simple, even boring to an untrained eye. Lincoln's portrait appears calm and familiar, and the wheat ears on the reverse seem modest and plain. But history has a habit of disguising its greatest treasures. The true power of this coin lies not in what it shows, but in what it represents. It was minted at a time when America was rebuilding itself from economic collapse, when survival required strength, patience, and belief. That emotional weight gives the coin an invisible value that collectors feel instantly, even before examining its physical details. What separates an ordinary 1935 wheat penny from a life-changing one is rarity born from circumstance. Minting technology in that era was far from perfect. Machines were pushed beyond limits, dies wore down, and metal behaved unpredictably under pressure. From these conditions emerged coins with subtle differences, slight variations, unusual impressions, or unique characteristics that exist only in extremely small numbers. These differences are not obvious. They whisper rather than shout. Yet to collectors, these whispers are louder than gold. Condition is where the story becomes almost unbelievable. Most 1935 pennies lived hard lives. They were rubbed smooth in pockets, dropped on concrete, exposed to moisture, or cleaned without care. Finding one that survived decades with sharp details, original surfaces, and untouched character is like discovering a message sealed from the past. Such a coin becomes more than metal, it becomes frozen time. When rarity and pristine condition collide, Values stop making sense to ordinary thinking, and numbers begin to climb into territory that feels unreal. The idea that a 1-cent coin could be worth millions shocks people because it challenges everything they believe about money. But the rare coin world operates on different rules. Value is driven by scarcity, desire, and story, not face value. Wealthy collectors are not chasing pennies because they are cheap, they chase them because they are impossible to replace. When a legendary example of a 1935 wheat penny appears, it can ignite fierce competition among collectors who already have everything else money can buy. Emotion plays a massive role in why the 1935 wheat penny is so powerful. This coin represents endurance during one of America's most painful economic chapters. Collectors don't just buy the coin, they buy the struggle, the hope, and the triumph that followed. Coins tied to emotionally charged periods often command higher respect and higher prices. The stronger the story, the stronger the demand, and demand is what pushes values beyond logic. Many fortunes have been lost because people underestimated small things. History is filled with stories of rare coins spent, sold cheaply, or ignored because they looked ordinary. The tragedy is not that people didn't know, it's that they didn't pause. A potentially priceless coin treated like loose change is a mistake that cannot be reversed. Once it leaves your hands, its future wealth leaves with it. That is why patience is everything in the world of rare collectibles. The phrase, "don't spend it," is more than advice, it is a warning. Spending a potentially rare 1935 wheat penny is like throwing away a lottery ticket before checking the numbers. Serious collectors understand that the real value of a coin is unlocked only through careful study, authentication, and timing. Rushing for quick money often leads to lifelong regret, while waiting can lead to generational wealth. In today's uncertain financial world, tangible historical assets have gained new importance. Digital wealth can disappear with a click, but a rare coin remains solid, real, and untouchable by systems. A genuine, rare 1935 wheat penny is immune to inflation, immune to duplication, and immune to trends. Its value is rooted in history and scarcity, two forces that only grow stronger with time. Collectors often describe the moment of discovering a rare wheat penny as surreal. The realization hits slowly. This small object may hold the power to change everything. It's not just excitement, it's disbelief mixed with awe. That feeling is what keeps people searching old jars, inherited boxes, and forgotten drawers. The possibility, however small, is enough to keep hope alive. The idea of becoming wealthy overnight is rare, but rarity is exactly what defines coins like the 1935 wheat penny. While most examples are common, the right example can sit at the top of the collecting world. These are the coins that don't follow price guides or expectations. They set records. They become legends. They rewrite what people think is possible. History teaches us that true value often hides where no one is looking. The 1935 wheat penny is proof of that lesson. It reminds us that greatness doesn't always shine brightly. Sometimes it hides quietly in a pocket, waiting decades for the right moment and the right person to recognize it. If you ever come across a 1935 wheat penny, hold it carefully. Look at it not as money, but as a question. A question asking whether you will rush, or whether you will understand. Many people walk past doors of opportunity without realizing they were holding the key. Few stop, study, and unlock a future they never imagined. In the end, the 1935 wheat penny stands as a powerful reminder that fortune doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives silently, disguised as something small, ordinary, and overlooked. And for the person wise enough not to let it go, that single cent can carry the weight of an entirely new destiny. Third up, the 1948 wheat penny is not just a coin from the United States. It is a survivor from a world that had just stepped out of chaos and into uncertainty. Minted only a few years after the end of World War II, this coin belongs to a moment when the world was trying to heal, rebuild, and redefine itself. People were tired, hopeful, and cautious all at once. This small copper cent moved quietly through that fragile era, passing from hand to hand without anyone realizing that some versions of it would one day be whispered about as legendary treasures. Today, the 1948 wheat penny stands as proof that history sometimes hides its greatest wealth in the smallest places. At first sight, the 1948 wheat penny looks ordinary, almost invisible among other old coins. Lincoln's face appears calm and familiar, and the wheat ears on the back seem simple and honest. But the most dangerous treasures are always the ones that don't announce themselves. This coin carries a powerful contradiction. It looks common, yet under the right conditions, it can be priceless. That contradiction is what fuels obsession among collectors. The more normal it appears, the more shocking its potential becomes when its true nature is revealed. The era in which this coin was made plays a massive role in its mystique. America in 1948 was transitioning from wartime urgency to peacetime production. Mints were adjusting, equipment was aging, and systems were under pressure to meet demand. In that environment, perfection was not guaranteed. Subtle differences emerged, tiny details formed unintentionally, never meant to be repeated. These rare outcomes were not planned, not recorded, and not noticed at the time. But decades later, those unnoticed moments became the foundation of extraordinary value. What separates a life-changing 1948 wheat penny from a regular one is not age alone, but uniqueness combined with survival. Most coins from this year lived rough lives. They were used daily, scraped against other metal, dropped on hard surfaces, and exposed to moisture and air. Time erased their sharpness and dulled their character. A coin that escaped all of that, remaining bold, clean, and original, is not just rare, it is miraculous. Collectors don't see such a coin as money. They see it as a preserved heartbeat of history. Condition transforms the 1948 wheat penny into something almost unreal. In the highest levels of preservation, where every detail stands proud and untouched, the coin enters a different universe of value. This is where numbers stop feeling rational. This is where conversations shift from hundreds to thousands, from thousands to millions. At that level, a coin is no longer priced, it is negotiated, fought over, and fiercely protected. Ownership becomes status, and status has no ceiling. The idea that a single cent could be worth millions shocks people because it breaks the rules they live by. But rare coins don't obey everyday logic. They obey scarcity, desire, and story. When a 1948 wheat penny checks all three boxes, it becomes dangerous, in the best possible way. Wealthy collectors, investors, and historians don't hesitate when something like this appears. They understand that opportunities like this don't repeat themselves. Miss it once, and it may be gone forever. Emotion is the invisible fuel behind the value of this coin. The 1948 wheat penny represents rebirth after destruction, stability after fear, and growth after loss. These emotional connections amplify demand in ways no price guide can measure. When collectors feel something, they pay differently. Emotion turns bidding into battle, and battle is what creates record-breaking prices that leave the public stunned. Many people unknowingly destroy their own future by rushing. A rare coin sold quickly, spent casually, or dismissed carelessly is a tragedy repeated across generations. The 1948 wheat penny has been lost this way countless times. Once it leaves your hands without proper understanding, the door it could have opened closes permanently. Fortune does not forgive impatience in the world of collectibles. That is why the warning, "Don't spend it," matters more than it sounds. Spending a potentially rare wheat penny is like burning a winning ticket before checking the result. Serious collectors slow down. They study. They verify. They wait. Timing is everything. The difference between regret and reward is often a single decision made in silence. In today's unstable financial world, physical historical assets have taken on a new level of respect. Digital numbers can vanish, systems can fail, and currencies can weaken, but a rare coin remains untouched by all of that. A genuine, rare 1948 wheat penny cannot be duplicated or replaced. Its value is anchored in history and scarcity, two forces that only grow stronger with time. Collectors often describe the discovery of a rare wheat penny as unreal, almost dreamlike. The moment starts with doubt, then curiosity, then disbelief. That emotional journey is addictive. It's why people still search through old collections, family inheritances, and forgotten containers. The possibility alone is powerful enough to keep hope alive. The idea of becoming wealthy overnight sounds like fantasy, but fantasy becomes reality when rarity meets opportunity. Not every 1948 wheat penny is special, but the right one exists. And when it surfaces, it doesn't follow rules. It sets them. These are the coins that redefine value and remind the world that wealth doesn't always look wealthy at first glance. History has a habit of rewarding those who look twice. The 1948 Wheat Penny teaches that lesson better than most. It proves that greatness often hides behind familiarity, waiting for someone patient enough to recognize it. What others overlook, a wise eye can transform into legacy. If you ever hold a 1948 Wheat Penny, don't treat it as spare change. Treat it as a question about your future. Will you rush, or will you understand? Many people walk past opportunity without knowing it was in their hand. Only a few stop, study, and unlock a destiny that changes everything. In the end, the 1948 Wheat Penny reminds us of a timeless truth. Fortune doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives quietly, disguised as a single cent. And for the person wise enough not to let it go, that cent can carry the weight of an entirely new life. Fourth up. The 1951 Wheat Penny is a small copper coin that quietly carries the weight of a powerful moment in American history. Minted during a time when the United States was stepping confidently into a new era of global influence, this penny was born in a world shaped by recovery, ambition, and silent competition. People used it daily without hesitation, unaware that certain rare examples would one day be spoken of in hushed tones among collectors. What once bought simple necessities now holds the potential, under the rarest circumstances, to represent unimaginable wealth. At first glance, the 1951 Wheat Penny looks completely ordinary. Lincoln's familiar portrait offers no hint of mystery, and the wheat ears on the reverse appear humble and straightforward. This is exactly what makes the coin so dangerous to overlook. True treasures rarely announce themselves. The most powerful opportunities in history often hide behind simplicity, waiting for time to reveal their importance. This penny is one of those hidden opportunities, quietly existing while the world moves past it. The era that produced the 1951 Wheat Penny adds an invisible layer of value. America was transitioning into modern strength, balancing industrial growth with rising global tension. Coin production during this period was focused on volume and efficiency, not perfection. In such conditions, subtle irregularities were born, unplanned details that could never be intentionally recreated. These tiny distinctions, invisible to most people, became the fingerprints of rarity that collectors would later chase relentlessly. What separates a common 1951 Wheat Penny from a life-changing one is survival against time. Most coins from this year were heavily used, scratched, dulled, and worn down by decades of circulation. They lost their sharpness and character, blending into anonymity. But a small number escaped that fate. These survivors remained crisp, bold, and untouched, preserving the exact moment they were created. Such coins are not just rare, they are accidents of destiny. Condition is where the story shifts from interesting to unbelievable. When a 1951 Wheat Penny exists in extraordinary preservation, its value moves beyond logic. At the highest levels of condition, collectors no longer think in terms of cents or even dollars. They think in terms of legacy, prestige, and ownership of something that may never appear again. This is where prices rise into shocking territory and where million-dollar conversations begin. The idea that a 1-cent coin could be worth millions feels impossible to most people because it breaks everyday rules about money. But rare coins operate in a world governed by scarcity and desire, not face value. Wealthy collectors do not hesitate when rarity meets perfection. They understand that money can be earned again, but opportunities like this cannot. Once a legendary example disappears into a private collection, it may be lost to the public forever. Emotion plays a silent but powerful role in the value of the 1951 Wheat Penny. This coin represents stability after chaos and confidence after uncertainty. Collectors are not just buying copper, they are buying the feeling of an era. Emotion fuels competition, and competition drives prices beyond what logic alone can explain. When collectors feel connected to history, bidding becomes personal, and records are broken. Many people unknowingly let fortune slip through their fingers by acting too quickly. A rare coin sold cheaply or spent casually is a mistake that echoes across time. The 1951 Wheat Penny has likely been lost this way countless times, passed on without a second thought. Once it leaves your possession, the opportunity it carried leaves with it. In the world of rare collectibles, patience is not optional, it is everything. This is why the warning, "Don't spend it," matters so deeply. Spending a potentially rare wheat penny is like tearing a winning ticket before checking the numbers. Those who truly understand value slow down. They observe, protect, and wait. Timing turns ordinary decisions into extraordinary outcomes. The line between regret and reward is often razor-thin. In today's unstable financial climate, tangible historical assets have gained new respect. Digital wealth can vanish instantly, but a rare coin exists outside those systems. A genuine, rare 1951 wheat penny cannot be duplicated, hacked, or erased. Its value is anchored in history and scarcity, two forces that only grow stronger with time. Collectors often describe discovering a rare wheat penny as surreal. It begins with disbelief, followed by excitement, then quiet fear of making the wrong move. That emotional journey is powerful and unforgettable. It's why people continue to search through old collections, family inheritances, and forgotten containers. Hope lives in the smallest places. The dream of becoming wealthy overnight may sound unrealistic, but rarity is what makes it possible. Not every 1951 wheat penny is special, but the right one exists. When it surfaces, it does not follow expectations. It defines them. These are the coins that shock the world and remind people that value is not always obvious. History consistently rewards those who look closer than others. The 1951 wheat penny proves that greatness often hides in plain sight. What the world ignores today may become tomorrow's legend. Recognition is the bridge between ordinary objects and extraordinary outcomes. If you ever hold a 1951 wheat penny, don't see it as spare change. See it as a question about your future. Will you rush, or will you understand? Many people unknowingly release opportunity because it looks too small to matter. Only a few pause long enough to realize what they are holding. In the end, the 1951 wheat penny teaches a timeless truth. Fortune does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives silently, disguised as a single cent. And for the person wise enough not to let it go, that cent can carry the weight of a completely transformed destiny. Fifth up, the 1955 wheat penny is one of those rare objects that proves how history loves to hide power inside the smallest things. Minted in the middle of a rapidly changing America, this coin was born during a time of growth, confidence, and rising ambition. People were dreaming big, cities were expanding, and the future felt wide open. In that moment, this single cent quietly entered circulation, never announcing that certain versions of it would one day be spoken of as legends capable of carrying unimaginable wealth. At first glance, the 1955 wheat penny looks harmless and ordinary. Lincoln's face appears familiar, calm, and trustworthy, while the wheat ears on the back seem almost modest. This normal appearance is exactly why so many people fail to recognize its potential. History's most valuable objects rarely look powerful at first. They blend in, waiting patiently for time to separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. The 1955 wheat penny is a perfect example of how appearance can be dangerously misleading. The era that produced this coin adds a deep, invisible strength to its story. America in the mid-1950s was accelerating forward, pushing production harder and faster than ever before. Speed and volume mattered more than perfection. In that rush, subtle irregularities were born, tiny details that were never meant to exist, never recorded, and never repeated. These quiet differences became the heartbeat of rarity, turning a common coin into something collectors would chase relentlessly decades later. What truly separates a normal 1955 wheat penny from a life-changing one is uniqueness combined with survival. Most of these coins lived rough lives. They were exchanged thousands of times, scraped against metal, dropped on hard ground, and worn down by years of use. Time erased their sharpness and softened their features. A coin that escaped all of that, remaining bold, original, and untouched, did not survive by chance alone. It survived because destiny allowed it to. Condition is where the story crosses into shocking territory. When a 1955 wheat penny exists in extraordinary preservation, it enters a completely different universe of value. At that level, collectors stop thinking like buyers and start thinking like guardians. Ownership becomes about prestige, legacy, and holding something that may never surface again. This is where numbers stop feeling real and where million-dollar conversations begin quietly, behind closed doors. The idea that a single cent could be worth millions sounds impossible to most people because it challenges everyday logic. But rare coins do not follow everyday rules. They follow scarcity, desire, and story. When a 1955 wheat penny brings all three together, it becomes explosive. Wealthy collectors understand this instinctively. They know money can be replaced, but opportunity cannot. When the right coin appears, hesitation disappears. Emotion plays a massive role in why this coin holds such power. The 1955 wheat penny represents optimism, expansion, and confidence in the future. Collectors don't just buy metal. They buy a feeling, a moment, a belief that defined an era. Emotion changes how people spend. It turns bidding into competition and competition into obsession. Obsession is what drives values beyond logic. Many people lose fortunes not because they lack luck, but because they lack patience. Rare coins are often sold too quickly, spent casually, or dismissed as ordinary. The 1955 wheat penny has been lost this way countless times. Once it leaves your hands without understanding, the future it could have created leaves with it. In the world of rare collectibles, rushing is the most expensive mistake a person can make. That is why the warning, "Don't spend it," carries so much weight. Spending a potentially rare wheat penny is like throwing away a sealed envelope without opening it. Those who understand value slow down. They protect what they have and wait for the right moment. Timing is everything. The difference between regret and transformation often comes down to a single quiet decision. In today's unstable financial world, tangible historical assets have gained new importance. Digital wealth can vanish overnight, but a rare coin exists outside those systems. A genuine, rare 1955 wheat penny cannot be duplicated, erased, or manipulated. Its value is rooted in history and scarcity, and both only grow stronger with time. Collectors often describe the discovery of a rare wheat penny as unreal. The realization creeps in slowly, followed by excitement, disbelief, and fear of making the wrong move. That emotional wave is unforgettable. It's why people continue to search through old jars, family inheritances, and forgotten collections. Hope survives because history has proven that miracles sometimes hide in plain sight. The dream of becoming wealthy overnight sounds dramatic, but rarity makes it possible. Not every 1955 wheat penny holds power, but the right one does. When it appears, it doesn't follow expectations. It creates them. These are the coins that rewrite stories and remind the world that value is not always loud or obvious. History consistently rewards those who look deeper than others. The 1955 wheat penny teaches that lesson clearly. What looks ordinary today may become legendary tomorrow. Recognition is the bridge between overlooked objects and extraordinary futures. If you ever hold a 1955 wheat penny, don't treat it as spare change. Treat it as a question about your destiny. Will you rush, or will you understand? Many people unknowingly release opportunity because it looks too small to matter. Only a few pause long enough to realize what they are holding. In the end, the 1955 wheat penny reminds us of a timeless truth. Fortune doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives silently, disguised as a single cent. And for the person wise enough not to let it go, that cent can carry the weight of an entirely new life.